Greetings, loved ones. Today we're going to talk about indicators of child abuse. Please help us get these messages out, subscribe to our channel, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and hit the like button and notification bell, and share these messages with others. You could save a life. Okay. Indicators of emotional child abuse. Child abuse needs to stop, and education is the key. So just to return, we're going to say, what is emotional abuse? Just as physical injuries can scar and incapacitate a child, emotional maltreatment can cripple and handicap a child emotionally, behaviorally, and intellectually. Self-esteem can be damaged. Severe psychological disorders have been traced to excessively distorted parental attitudes and actions. One of the hallmarks of emotional abuse is the absence of positive interaction, for example, praising from the parent to their child. Following chronic and severe emotional abuse of a child, emotional and behavioral problems may be present in varying degrees, especially when there is little or no nurturing. This is especially true for neonates, infants, and toddlers. After emotional abuse, these children may become chronically withdrawn and anxious and lose basic social and language skills necessary for intimate relationships. They may become developmentally delayed, socially limited, and in some cases, antisocial and chronically unable to protect themselves from others. Emotional abuse and neglect are also components of other abuse and neglect. Sexual abuse and physical abuse may be the official category for report, but emotional damage also exists. Emotional abuse and neglect may damage children of all ages, but can be critical with infants and toddlers, leaving them with permanent developmental deficits. It is crucial to recognize the indicators of emotional abuse to prevent further harm. So what is verbal abuse? I'm going to do this again. Verbal assault, belittling, screaming, threats, blaming, sarcasm, unpredictable responses, continual negative moods, constant family discord, and chronically communicating conflicting messages are examples of the way parents may subject their children to verbal abuse. And there are several signs in parents and in children that may indicate verbal abuse is occurring. So let's talk about these behavioral indicators of abuse. I'm going to say that again. Behavioral indicators of abuse. So let's talk about indicators in parents. These signs may indicate that a parent may be engaging in verbal or emotional abuse of a child. So parents or caretakers place demands on the child that are based on unreasonable or impossible expectations or without consideration of the child's developmental capacity. Another behavioral indicator of parents committing emotional abuse is the child is used as a battleground for marriage conflicts, or the child is used to satisfy the parent or caretaker's own ego needs, and the child is neither old enough nor mature enough to understand. Another example of parental emotional abuse is the child victim is objectified by the perpetrator. The child is referred to as it. It cried. It died. And the child is a witness to domestic violence. Emotional abuse can be seen as proving a self-fulfilling prophecy. If a child is degraded enough, the child will begin to live up to the image communicated by the abusing parent or caretaker. Emotional abuse can be extremely difficult to prove, and cumulative documentation by witnesses is imperative. Such cases should be referred to treatment as soon as possible. Suspected cases of emotional abuse that constitute willful cruelty or unjustifiable punishment of a child are required to be reported by mandated reporters. This means a report must be made of any situation where any person willfully causes or permits any child to suffer or inflicts on any child unjustifiable mental suffering. However, mandated reporters may also report any degree of mental suffering. While these cases may not always be prosecuted, reporting provides the opportunity for intervention and/or therapy with the family. So now let's talk about indicators in children. These are the signs that you may see in a child that a child may be experiencing emotional or verbal abuse. The child is withdrawn, depressed, and apathetic. The child is clingy and forms indiscriminate attachments. The child acts out and is considered a behavior problem. For example, the child bullies others, chronically uses profanity. Or the child exhibits exaggerated fearfulness. The child is overly rigid in conforming to instructions of teachers, doctors, and other adults. Maybe the child suffers from sleep, speech, or eating disorders. And the child displays other signs of emotional turmoil, repetitive, rhythmic movings, rocking, whining, and picking at scabs. Also, the child may suffer from enuresis, which is bedwetting or fecal soiling. More examples of in children who may be experiencing emotional abuse is that they pay inordinate attention to details or exhibit little or no verbal or physical communication with others. Or the child unwittingly makes comments such as, well, Mommy and Daddy always tell me I'm bad. The behaviors that we just mentioned may, of course, be due to other causes, but the suspicion of abuse should not be dismissed. According to the CDC, over half of all children in the world, that's 1 billion children, ages 2 to 17, every year experience violence. The question is not if you'll encounter a victim of violence. The question before God is, what will you do when you do encounter them? You could be the person who saves a life. Micah 6:8 says, He has showed you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. You are called. We are all called to be champions for justice. If you're a victim of violence, I want you to stop what you're doing and I want you to listen to me. I want you to know that you are valued. You are loved. You are intelligent. And yes, you are worthy. There is a way out. It is not your fault. Abuse is not love. And most of all, I want you to know you are not alone. If you're suffering violence, reach out to someone today. Tell somebody. If you find yourself in a dangerous situation, call 911 for help. If you know of a child or another person suffering violence, tell the authorities. In our next episode, we will talk about emotional deprivation of children. Until then, God bless you.